The second episode of the final season of Succession is here, and unlike the title of the episode, this is not a rehearsal, it's the real thing. With the mood at the beginning of the episode from Logan being drastically different by the end, this second installment really showed the power his children had over him in the present moment, a change in dynamic for the first time. With the deal of Waystar looking like it's not going to get voted through due to Shiv, Kendall and Roman looking to get more money from it, let's recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this episode. So let's get into it. Here is Succession Season 4 Episode 2 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. As we embarked onto the ending of the episode, we saw that Logan arranged for Roman to meet with him following the disruptive, chaotic meeting that he had with the rest of the family in the karaoke suite. The potential of being outweighed in a vote on the sale of Waystar was something that was weighing on his mind, and looking like wasn't going to be going through due to his children wanting to push Lukas for more money in the sale. Despite the fact that he said if they push him, he'll walk away. They wanted to do this because they felt as though there was almost $100 million to be made on top of what the company was going for. And with them overspending on Pierce's, every dollar made a difference. I also feel as though Shiv wanted it because she had the pressure of her divorce on her shoulders. And with all of the good lawyers being in conflicted interest, she didn't know what would happen. However, Logan knew that it was a risk in pushing Matson, and he knew that it could potentially result in a no deal and they'd have to start the whole process again. Something that he didn't want to do. We saw a Logan who was so desperately trying to do all that he could to get his children on his side. The change in dynamic from prior to entering the karaoke suite to afterwards was drastically different. Logan was playing mind games, apologizing for things throughout his life that he did in the hopes that it would work, considering that all they wanted at one point was an apology. However, it fell on deaf ears. The understanding that they are not serious people and referring to the rats of New York as being the size of skunks and not running anymore was a metaphor that was tied into the behavior of the way that Kendall, Roman, and Shiv were behaving. They weren't backing down to their father and he felt as though they were being greedy. Within that scene, Connor was the only person that was on Logan's side, and even still, it somehow felt as though he was still the most redundant and pushed to the side, despite being the reason as to why they were all in a room talking with one another. With Roman meeting with Logan at the end, it was an interesting difference in dynamic, and it played out completely differently to how we saw the conversation unfolding when the other two siblings were there. Logan had more control of the conversation and was able to get Roman on his side. He mentioned how he needed him at ATN, and it was an opportunity that seemed as though it was going to be able to get Roman on his side. With Roman being the one that is the least opposed to their father, but the most opposed in pushing Matson for more, it does make me wonder if he will go through with it. We didn't see a decision be made, but I feel as though he could end up taking it, seeing as though there's been moments where he's been softer towards his father than the others. Let's break the rest of the video down by the main characters. Logan. The core of Logan's character within this episode was the testing of people, the questioning of his decision making, and the power that he felt as though he was losing. We saw Kerri being the laughingstock of the office, and that was down to him, one of the many things that was on his mind. However, he could sense that people were questioning his judgment and laughing behind his back, something which he wasn't a fan of at all, so the dynamic was well and truly twisted this week for the character. From the scene in the karaoke bar right down to the employees sharing the video, we saw that he wasn't prepared to crush Kerri's dreams, as he knew it would be detrimental to him in the long run, so he palmed it off. Shiv. Shiv had a really interesting involvement in this week's episode. We saw a character that was on the back foot for the most part of it. We saw that she was in a complex where Tom had phoned around most of the well-established lawyers in the area, so that they would be conflicted out of representing her due to being in discussion with Tom. So that was something that definitely planted the seed about getting more money for Waystar. I feel she was worried about what she would lose in the divorce settlement, and with all of them over-promising on the price with Pierce, it was something that she knew could potentially leave her with not a lot of money when compared to the others. She probably stands to gain the least out of the siblings due to the divorce that will be taking place. However, we saw that she managed to get the others on her side after Kendall saw the numbers for the business and knew that there was more to be made. The final shot of Shiv was one where she was reluctantly looking as though she was about to phone Tom, something which we saw she didn't do. But it does make you question, what was she going to talk about? Was it a habit out of wanting to speak with him? Was it to bring up the divorce lawyer rift again? Or was it to just talk about her father? She looked troubled and alone, and I think that's where her mind is most probably at this moment in time. Roman. We knew that Roman was the individual that was the easiest to be controlled by his father due to the similarities that they both embody, and also the fact that he's been the warmest towards his father in the sending of the happy birthday message at a time where they said that they were not going to be communicating at all. Roman isn't happy with his father, but he's got an emotional side to him that the others don't seem to share. He doesn't have that ruthlessness that they embody, and it's the reason as to why we saw him meet with his father at the end. Would Kendall or Shiv have met with him? Most probably not, so the dynamic could well and truly be shifted slightly moving forward. Connor. Connor was and still is the forgotten child. Despite doing all that he could to bring the family together, there was still no sense of appreciation for him. However, as he even mentioned himself, he doesn't need love, because he's learned to live and grow without it. With Willa going off and saying how she didn't want to marry him, he had a genuine problem that he wanted to confide in his siblings in, but they weren't prepared to listen to his problems. Within a short moment of time, it was all about them, and you could sense the frustration that he had with that, especially with him looking at his phone throughout the most part of the episode. However, with him going home and Willa being there, the marriage that was for show is something that he does truly care about, and is impacting him more than he's letting on. He cares, but like all Roy family members, they don't want to let it show. Tom and Gregg. Tom and Gregg's chemistry on screen is something that always makes me laugh. Tom bosses Gregg around and he fails to complete the job to a satisfactory level, such as when we saw Gregg having to let Kerri down about getting the news anchor position. He completely butchered the meeting with her, but you could sense the satisfaction that he had with it, as if he completed the job to an okay level, when in reality it wasn't. Tom is being treated like a son by Logan, and he's getting the good side of him, something that Shiv is clearly envious of, a side that she doesn't truly remember. I thought this episode was a good one. The pacing of it was really well done. The power dynamic and the shift in it was clear to see, with the helicopter flying away from the children, to then having them vote no on the deal with Matson. It was a real show of power. Kendall, Shiv and Roman have won in the winning of the bid for Pierces, but also in the sense they could potentially be winning in getting more money out of Lukas, so they have come off better in the past 2 episodes. The comedy in this episode was something that had me in pieces a few times. They're just one-liners, but they're delivered so well. The sibling conversation and discussions that occur are so easy to relate to yourself, even if it is about billion-dollar acquisitions. But that isn't what makes it. It's the slight bickering, power play, and different personalities that allow you to connect with it. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to occur in the next episode. So, there you have it. Succession Season 4 Episode 2 Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this episode? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.